Hi, my name is Fernando and this is my lovely girlfriend Senia.
Hi.
And we've opened a shop not long ago, about a month ago, and we would like to share some of our experiences with you and over the course of the last 30 days and what we think about um, owning a business in Costa Rica.
It's not easy.
How everything began is pretty much how we met. So Sandy and I met in New York, and at that time I was also interning at a tea shop from which I invested in.
We ended up working at that tea shop together for about a year. So we got used to getting annoyed at each other and working in a fast-paced environment with seamless orders. And then from there we both kind of moved on, and I ended up working in another coffee shop in Brooklyn, and I did all of my coffee training there. And yeah, I kind of became skilled at coffee, I would say. I'm kind of like a little snob or something.
So I am a firm believer of not to work with friends and family because I've seen the consequences of it. But Sandy here is an exception because I've worked with her before and I've pretty much quote unquote ran a business with her before. So we've been a month together in this business and I have no complaints. She's been very proactive and we've respected each other. We keep work what is work and home what is home. We have a thing where as soon as we close the gates we kiss each other, and it's kind of cheesy but it means that we're no longer at work, we're at home. So all the things are brushed aside and we take upon it once we have a more settled mindset.
Once you leave work, technically as the entrepreneur and as the owner, you're never really done with work, right? If you were in a relationship and only one half of you was part of a new business, that other half really has to have a lot of patience, because the amount of times you can just randomly get a phone call, but like, oh, you're watching a movie, or oh, you're having a conversation, like there needs to be patient on the other partner's side for that person to be reachable by the business, because that new business is like a 24-hour job you're on call for.
Okay, so basically what we wanted to share with you in this video is our first month's experience of owning a business in Costa Rica and share with you what we've learned, what we've been able to adapt to, and what we are hoping to achieve. Every market has its own uncertainty, and unless you actually try it out, you won't know what's going to go on. So whatever you know in New York might not apply to Costa Rica, and it could happen vice versa. And who knows, maybe it does apply, but you don't know that for certain unless you try it out.
We're in a plaza, and we're also attached to condominiums. So we have some menus on our item that are high end. And then in the neighborhood, I would say it's like lower middle class. We have items that are easier to buy, that are cheaper. So the pastries are on a scale, the coffee menu is a set price, right? And in the plaza, there's room for about 40 businesses. So that means other cafes, other food options, and that means everything we sell, we have to think about it, right? So one day we were thinking of selling mozzarella sticks, but the place next door, they sold better mozzarella sticks. So we didn't add it to our menu item. And it's about knowing your competitors and your market. Like, should you make the time to carry this inventory, and can you sell it better than your neighbor?
That's true. And we try to respect other neighbors as well, because there's a reason why the restaurant next to us has to sell sweet stuff, is because we sell sweet stuff. And there's a reason why we don't sell meat. Well, there's two reasons. One, out of respect, and the second, because just a whole other level of work that you have to reconsider. It is natural for a coffee shop to have sweets, and also a set number of coffee drinks, as well as some tea variations, right? That's definite. Whichever coffee shop you go to, you'll find those items. And then you have those other things that differentiate yourself from other coffee shops. Let it be your service, let it be your concept, or let it be your product line, right? So we started off with 20 product items, 10 of them coffee, 5 of them tea, and just some couple pastries. And along the way, we've been introducing 2 items every week for a specific reason. You don't want to overwhelm customers with a broad menu. You want to slowly introduce your items so people who are newcomers, they get a chance to see the basics of what you've got. And you want people who have already come before to actually be able to say, oh, I already know the product, I already know the menu, oh, there's something new. So you want to keep them interested, and once you have all your menu out, you'll have a large enough following where you don't have to worry about explaining them what each menu is. You should also have a separate menu of all your best sellers, so when there's actually a new person comes in, he doesn't have to look like the, the huge amount of items you have on your menu.
And that's part of the reason why it's beneficial for us to introduce products slower. Not only for the reasons you said, but because keeping up that inventory costs money. So if I make a cake that's worth 12 pieces, but it's only good for about a week and a half, in a week, if I only sell 6 slices, am I going to sell those other 6 in the next week before it goes bad? And so I have to think about that cost, and if our business is busy enough to sell that inventory. Part of it also, like when starting a business, it's about the consumer knowing your product, right? So for example, where we're working, there's a KFC and a Subway near us. If someone is looking for lunch and they see KFC, they know what they're gonna get there. They're like, oh, I can go get chicken there, it'll probably cost this much, and they head right over because they know what to expect. And so they're like, I'm gonna get a good meal, I'm gonna save money, da da da. But a place that says Cafe Flamingo, they're like, oh, what do they sell? And what we're finding is that our customer is very visual. So we have to spend the money on products that sit on display so people can see what it looks like before they're willing to buy it.
If you spend $2 making a product that you can put in a display case and then make somebody buy it for $10, it's you wasted $2, but you gain $8 that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
The thing with starting a new business is that you're not guaranteed a customer. Even if you say like, I'm a coffee shop, I'm a crepe shop, I'm a this. Some people would be like, oh, I am looking for that, and they'll come over. But most of the time people are like, oh, I'm hungry, what should I have? And you're gonna have to seek out your own customer, whether it's by sampling or offering images or talking to them. If you're not the one chasing after them, no one is going to be chasing after you. And so you have to be the proactive one to get your customer and explain to them the product, tell them what you have that might not be on display. Like we have cheesecake that sells, but we don't have one for display. It would melt right there. So
yeah, if you're bootstrapping everything, trying to keep your inventory streamlined is one of the most important aspects of the operating structure of your business. And here's the reason why. You only have limited amount of space, you only have limited amount of money, and you also have a limited amount of staff capacity that can only learn so much. So if you find one item from which you can use to make multiple other options, then you're pretty much set with all the product lines.
we're always going to buy coffee, milk, sugar, flour, and eggs. Those are our staple ingredients. We carry a lot of it. It's always beneficial to us.
Logistics is a very important aspect of a new business, especially if you're starting off in a market that you have no experience with.
Oh my god, the amount of stores we have to go to just to pick up everything we need. Like you go one place, you pick up all your milk. You go one place, you pick up all your cheese. You need flour, sugar, and you're trying to find the best price for everything. So in the first month, what we started to do the first week we started keeping track of our inventory was, oh, we need azúcar. Like, which place sells the most for the best price? And then we have to go to that store every time. Because we used to go to La Feria every weekend, Friday and Saturday, which means we had to open later on those days so we could pick up basil and lettuce and mushrooms, and you can't even find blueberries in this country. We have to use mulberries as a replacement and a few recipes.
Yeah, mulberries to blackberries, because there's this specific vegan cheesecake that we make called the flamingo cheesecake, and it's made of the original recipe is made out of blackberry and
like
dates for the base, but we couldn't find those two ingredients, so we had to be creative, find
Figs for the
items.
dates.
Yeah, we had to find items that mostly resemble those other items, so it wouldn't change the recipe as much. So we used figs instead of dates. We used mulberries instead of blackberries, and it came out fine. People loved it, and we're selling a pretty good amount of it.
But you have to be willing to change your recipe, but also you have to try everything you're making. So for example, the first set of brownies we made, we used a more expensive flour, and it was perfect. The second time, we had gone to a different supermarket and we got this huge bag of flour, and we're like,
we used national flour, and I wasted 4 batches in just brownies. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what went wrong. Was it the sugar? Was it the baking powder? Was it the cornstarch substitute that we used? And then we realized that it wasn't none of that. It was just the simple fact that we used national brand flour. And we switched back to the expensive flour, and it came out fine, came out perfect. So there are things you can substitute, and you should, if it allows you to keep your costs down, as long as it keeps quality the same. If you're able to keep the quality the same while changing some of the ingredients, then that's what you need to do as a startup business, because every cost add up.
Just upkeep itself. Like when you're running the business, every time someone uses a sugar packet for the coffee, you're not charging them for that sugar packet or that napkin they use or that stirrer they're using to add it, but that's part of the cost of running your business. So that means you need to keep all your margins high, so that way they can help make up for these other things that are part of the cost of consuming the business.
Yeah. And the thing is, during the first couple of weeks, how you accommodate everything will be shifting all over the place, because you will have product that will move this much on the first day, and then next week it can move this much, until you figure out for a good couple months after which products you move the most. Then you will have to rearrange your kitchen again, so you accommodate your working space in a way that you can push that product quicker.
Yeah.
Be willing to listen to customers. That's the most important thing you want. But there's a difference between listening to every single customers versus listening to those that matter. Definitely listen to all of them, because everybody loves being listened to. Everybody loves to give a review, and you as a good business owner should, at least in my personal perspective, you should listen to every single customer. Now, how you adapt, it should be specifically based on the criteria of those customers that you're targeting. And I'll tell you the reason why. You cannot please every single customer. It's impossible. If you try to do that, you'll fail. You'll crumble. We never thought of selling sandwiches. People always ask for lunch menu for sandwiches. So we tried out a very simple sandwich, which is Mr. Veggie, our French sandwich. Sold well. We added a new addition, Mr. Tuna, sold well. And 2 weeks ago we added Miss Margarita, and now it's our best seller. So you don't know, like, no matter how much you believe in your personal product, you don't know what will sell the most unless you actually try it out there and let the people decide for you what is it that they want the most. Because just because you want it doesn't mean other people want it. As a startup business, one of your strengths is that you're small. You're small, and it allows you to have great mobility. So if you have to change something, you can do it quick. And what that allows you is to adapt quicker. Now, once you're bigger, it'll be harder to do. So a change that you decide to wait a couple years to make, to implement, will have a greater effect on the overall customers that you have. But since you're starting, you are still trying to figure out what's your specific customer outside from your target customer, right? And you're trying to figure out your specific item that you're selling, because you haven't find the light switch in the dark yet, right? You have to allow time to show you that.
Just think about it like, if your customer has 5 different options, what differentiates from that? Do you have the best service, the best perspective, best prices? If anything, you should be the friendliest. You should be the most approachable. You should be the most knowledgeable. And you should be honest. Like, we have an open kitchen. I think we have a pretty open concept. I think people can see that what we use is natural and organic, but them willing to come in and ask about the price is the first step to them finding out, I can't afford this, it's good for me, and I want to try it.
There's been a lot of change that we've went through, and we've grown in a way that we didn't anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
We've added lines that we didn't even think about adding. We've started selling more of one product that we didn't even know would sell. Changes are necessary for our starting business. I feel that from the day we started up to right now, we've had a good progress. The first day we opened, I
We
had
just had
no
the
clue.
coffee.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When we first started, we opened at 6 o'clock at night, right after finished construction, remodeling, and refurnishing, and we only made one sale,
Yeah.
a coffee sale. And I was so happy and sad at the same time, but it was something.
Yeah.
It was a game, right? So we've been hitting our weekly goals now. We are able to pay off rent, costs of goods, and salary. The aspect that would take most money out of your sales from.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pretty happy. I mean, we're not at a point where we're celebrating, but we're at a point where we don't have to be concerned about the break even.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you need to have savings because it's not like we're paying ourselves already. The only employee we have, she's making money.
yeah,
Like
that's
she's
true.
the one with the paycheck. You're gonna be tired.
You're gonna be tired.
Be there every day. If you think, let me hire 4 employees, they'll be there. I'll come in 2 or times in 3 a week. No, we're there every day. Like literally.
Yeah.
7 days in a row, 8 days in a row, all those things.
Personally, I think that part of being a good entrepreneur or a good business owner is to do the dirty work yourself. I mean, I've cleaned toilets, I've mopped the floors more than 100 times. And I can tell you, if you do the dirty work, by the time you hire somebody to do the dirty work, you know how it's done, you know how long it takes, and you know you can appreciate the work effort put into it. And if you're able to grasp that early on in the business, then by the time you hire people to do your job, you have set your own standards. So just to wrap things up,
I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, I was nervous our first week, but every week we've done a little bit better in sales. And we've tried to keep a mantra of like, we only have to beat ourselves, right? We only have to improve on what we've done last. To make a long story short, you have to enjoy what you do. And hopefully you can get joy out of the work even if you're tired every day.
there's some level of gratification in building something from scratch and have people compliment it. It's like there's a lot of hard work involved into it, but it's very gratifying when you hear somebody saying that they love your product, they love your concept, and they would like to come back again. So it's been a great month of success, and we don't know where this is gonna take us. Feel free to join us and follow us in this journey in progress. You usually hear stories of success and then about their failures, but this is more of the one where you don't know what's gonna happen. And we do apologize if we've been talking in circles, it's just that this is the first time we do something like this. And if you have any questions, feel more than free then to leave a comment in the comment section below.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.